All right, and we are back. And today we're back with something a little bit different. We're actually going to watch a video from an amazing creator called TierZoo. Now, I've seen a couple of his videos before just in my personal time, but today I'm just going to bring it on to the channel just to see what this new one's about. And this one looks interesting. It's called America's Secret Top Tier Animal. Now, this is going to be interesting because America has a lot of low-key top tier animals. My low key or secret top tier animal for America is, let's see, probably New York rats. I feel like they're probably the most like sturdy of any rats probably across the world. Maybe a few rats out there and like Africa, just because it's been around so long. They probably got like some really like seasoned rats, but I still feel like New York rats take them out the park. Wouldn't even be really fair. So we're going to go ahead and check this video out. Guys, remember, like, comment, subscribe. That includes going to TierZoo's channel. Link will be below. And going on his channel, liking his video, commenting on his video, tell him I sent you, and then subscribing to his channel. Now, if you're one of those people that are just coming over to me from TierZoo, then, hey, how you doing? Welcome. Like this video. Go ahead and comment down on the video. Go ahead and take a look at other videos in the past, comment on those as well. And then subscribe. Because if you don't, and this is the serious part because there are dire consequences, if you don't like, comment, or subscribe to this channel, YouTube will come through that door, and they will. TierZoo, America's secret top tier animal.
Cheetahs are low-tier trash. The fastest land build in the game has a ton of flaws in its game plan, which you could learn about in this video here if you like. But enough about cheetahs. What about the second fastest? Do you even know what it is?
Deer.
How does it stack
American deer, North American deer.
up against its competition? I talk a lot on this channel about how overpowered the animals in the Africa server are. And while that's certainly true, the North America server also has its fair share of builds with ridiculously OP stats, including one little-known build with the second fastest run speed in the entire game. You might expect it to be a type of big cat, maybe a close relative of the cheetah, like the mountain lion, or perhaps a type of cervid, like a deer or elk. But no, it's actually the smallest member of the giraffe family, one that most players probably wouldn't expect to be related to the giant that we know and love, the American pronghorn.
Wow.
The pronghorn.
I'll be honest, I'm more of a city boy myself. I've never even heard of this deer, the American pronghorn. This isn't a deer. I'm still calling it a deer because it looks so much like what I think a deer looks like. This is not a deer.
It may not look like much, but it sports some pretty impressive stats, including the second highest base mobility stat of any terrestrial animal, with only the cheetah having a higher top speed. This makes it faster than every other build in the North America server by a substantial margin. Pumas, bears, and even wolves have essentially zero shot at closing the distance to a pronghorn player. Pronghorns have much more endurance than most predators, and are able to maintain these high speeds for significant distances, not just short sprints as most predators do. Pronghorns also have horns on their head which can deal decent damage in a pinch, although it's pretty rare they'd actually need to use them for anything other than dueling against each other. Still, these sharp, keratinized horns can definitely do some damage. Pronghorns aren't particularly stealthy because of their bright white back end. However, even with how noticeable they are, if you ever see a pronghorn, it's almost certain it sees you first. Their eyes are incredibly sensitive and can detect movement from 4 miles away.
Jeez.
Because of their huge field of view, this makes it borderline impossible to sneak up on a pronghorn unless your build has some insanely high-level stealth abilities. Pronghorns have one of the lowest HP stats of any North American ungulate. They of course share a server with builds like the elk, moose, and buffalo, all with a massive health bar, making them near impossible to bring down solo.
Hold on.
Buffalo.
This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. If you guys don't get this reference, I feel bad
all
for
with
you.
a
Also, you're not better at me than you're not better than me in Elden Ring. I'm gonna tell you right now. I would be the elk stag, you would be the wolf, and it would be no shot.
massive health bar, making them near impossible to bring down solo. Conversely, pronghorns rely entirely on their speed stat to keep them safe, and can't really afford to take any damage at all. For the most part, the pronghorn's general game plan works great. Because they have the ruminant ability, their food is abundant, as they're able to digest grass, shrubs, and even cacti if necessary. They also are able to consume plants that are toxic to builds like sheep, cattle, and horses, meaning they don't usually compete for resources with livestock, and so as long as they don't get careless, pronghorns are usually able to evade most conflict. So why is the pronghorn so uniquely fast? Its immense speed stat legitimately feels like overkill, and I would argue that in the current meta, it absolutely is. However, the pronghorn has been one of North America's top survivalists for a long time, through several balance patches and expansions. And during the Younger Dryas expansion, there were additional, speedier threats that the pronghorn player base had to contend with, namely the American lion and American cheetah. These felid builds were extremely dangerous to a lightweight, evasive style build like the pronghorn. The American cheetah in particular had a max speed stat roughly equivalent to its African and Asian counterparts, but was also bigger and bulkier than the modern cheetah. And so during that particular ranked season, the pronghorn wisely opted to max out its speed and endurance in order to evade attacks from.
That's a smart move. Some people would have tried to go for their strength and dexterity, but I think speed and endurance in this situation is a good combo, because you want to be able to outmaneuver these people. You want to just get that quick step on them. So that was a good choice all around. Now I will say these probably would have been super OP if it wasn't for humans. Like if it wasn't for humans coming in with their artillery, it probably would have been dominated. The server would have been completely dominated by this animal here. But humans are just too OP. We put most of our stats and intelligence, and that just drove so many more things than what most builds put their stats into. It's actually kind of crazy. You would think most builds would try to go more for an intelligence build, but they don't. A lot of them put it into like bulkiness or just like all around endurance, and I get that. That's a short game plan. You want to do the long game plan, you got to go for intelligence. Intelligence is going to get you in the long game. These servers are going to be around for a long time, hundreds of thousands of years a piece. African server's been around the longest, so obviously it's got tons of stuff going on there. But again, most of those animals did not spec too high into intelligence
from these American felids. However, these felids were banned with the launch of the Holocene balance patch, leaving the pronghorn hugely overtuned for its remaining competition. Still, this didn't mean automatic success for the pronghorn. In fact, their player count was dwindling up until very recently. The reason for this is that pronghorns are extremely poor vertical jumpers, and so they're heavily impeded by any sort of barrier. They require open terrain with good visibility in order to remain competitively viable. So when human players started constructing barriers made of sharp metal, things got really dangerous really fast for the pronghorn. Most of the herbivore builds in the North American meta can easily clear the vertical of an average barbed wire fence, but pronghorn players usually opt to crawl under barriers if possible. Because of the pronghorn's low HP stat, even relatively mild chip damage from barbed wire fences can deal lethal damage to a pronghorn. This issue was really frustrating to deal with as a pronghorn main, and so most of them just opted to play characters with better vertical mobility. But eventually, the human player base realized how unfair this tech was, and opted to self-impose a ban on the tech in important areas. As a result, the pronghorn player base has recovered massively and is no longer at risk of collapsing. So I don't know if I can quite give them an S tier rank.
That's what's up. I'd already called it that humans were going to be the main problem for this animal. I didn't think it was going to be just our barriers and things, because we actually, the barriers are pretty important, but if it comes to like getting this animal safe and keeping it, alive in our server, I feel like that's a pretty important thing. I feel like the self ban in specific areas for these barriers was a good idea. Obviously, we can't implement that in all this, every area that has a barrier around it because, some barriers are necessary for other predators within the server. We do still have bears and other stuff there. So, it's a good idea. It can't be implemented every single place.
Since they're highly vulnerable to disruption if any sort of major balance patch imposes a lot of barriers into their territory. In addition to the obvious things like human structures, like roads and fences, any increase in woodland biomes would also severely hamper their ability to detect predators or run for long distances to escape. This is the main reason why pronghorns, despite still being faster than any of their potential competition.
That sucks because I really think about it. I look in the background here. Look at these barriers right here on the ground, just like sitting there. There are a lot of random things that human characters just put on the ground, leave there, and if this thing can't jump, it is going to make this a lot more difficult for this build. Like if you have this build now, you probably should stop watching this YouTube channel and switch out your build. Put more into your ability to jump. Speed is cool, but you guys don't really have too many things that you're running from these days. You gotta get that you guys went on the speed versus like mobility. You gotta be able to jump upwards, guys. Get that vertical mobility up.
The main reason why pronghorns, despite still being faster than any of their potential competition, have failed to make an impact in biomes with less open spaces, such as the woodland tundra biome of the backcountry of Canada, or the jungles of Central America, where stealth-based builds like the Puma and Jaguar have more of an advantage. Now, to be fair, having an unfavorable matchup versus a Jaguar isn't saying much. They are the undisputed top-tier predator throughout the entirety of the Central and South American jungle biome.
Get out of there.
But it would be impressive to see them diversify their playstyle a bit to see if they could be more competitive in less open terrain, as their other giraffoid ancestors used to be. Especially since the pronghorn's other main weakness is made worse by the fact that they spend time in completely open spaces. That weakness being their vulnerability to aerial attacks. With no tree cover, pronghorns have nowhere to hide from the one predator that actually is able to keep up with them, the golden eagle. They may be the second fastest land build in the game, but if you include flying builds, most birds beat this speed pretty easily, especially predatory birds. Still, it's hard not to respect a build that managed to adapt so effectively that—
Wait, are you telling me that a bird takes this thing out? I'm sorry, I gotta take out everything I said about this animal. If you got this, stop playing the build altogether, not for the reasons I said before, but because this is a low tier build. Why is he putting this on America's Secret top tier animal? This thing gets taken out by birds. This is a low tier animal, C tier at best. I'm thinking more like D tier right now. I thought this was like a A tier, possibly like at least I thought it was at least sniffing S tier rank as like a animal here. But this thing, I'm sorry, birds. I'm not saying they're like the weakest thing. Obviously, there's some good birds out there, some S tier birds out there, but like a golden eagle, that's not even like come on, bro. That thing didn't even look half your size. It has some big wings, but you guys have whole horns. Can you guys kick back? Like, can you just run faster than it? Or you can't run faster than it. He just explained that. But like outmaneuver it or something? You guys, bro, this is a D tier at best build.
That its strategy hard countered the game plan of their main opponents, driving them to complete and total irrelevancy. Then again, is it really that big a flex that a variant of the cheetah build ended up not being viable in the current meta? I wouldn't be that surprised if, given enough time, the African antelope mains also started speccing into higher speed or greater bulk in order to invalidate the African cheetah's only favorable matchup.
Anyways, with all that being said, I'm going to give the pronghorn the rank of A tier.
Nah.
This video is brought to you by my next video on rhinos, already up on Nebula. Pronghorns are successful despite having some of the smallest horns in the game.
This looks pretty cool.
They're pretty much
Nebula.
the polar opposite of the rhinoceros. I've mentioned the Rhino
No,
in
because
passing.
rhinos actually spec into the strength more. They didn't go with the speed. They just went with tankiness because you can just tank a lot of animals in pretty much every server. I mean, being a tank is kind of always like a good thing, realistically. Like being a speed character has its advantages sometimes, but as we just saw, you can't even be a speed character in anything that isn't like full open terrain. So that takes out a lot of servers right there. You really just got like the African server, the North American server, parts of the like Asian server, and the Australian server.
Australia does not exist.
And that's about it. But like if you go like tank build, you got tank builds in every single server out there. So it just makes way more sense. The European server, you can do the South American server as a tank. I mean, I'm not saying like South America is more of a stealth build area, so you're probably going to be a little bit better as a stealth build there. But even as a tank, I'm thinking that you can still go out there and do really well. So yeah, I'm not sure why this one's A tier. Again, this felt very D tier that had one good A tier quality, maybe S tier quality, second fastest animal in the game. That's pretty good. That's a S tier quality. Everything else about it, F tier. So one S tier and a bunch of other Fs. I'm being generous. I'm giving it a D tier.
Several times in recent videos, but I've never made an entire video dedicated to discussing their strategies, strengths, and weaknesses.
Whoa.
That is, until now. I've got an entire video all about the Rhino.
Whoa.
It'll hit YouTube
Why you do that to the baby?
in a few months, but the full thing is already released on Nebula. Nebula is a streaming service owned and operated by and for creators like me, and thanks to their support, I can not only do these flashy edits, high-quality stock footage clips, and custom 3D animations, but I'm also now able to be one video ahead, 1 month in advance on Nebula. And it's not just me. Channels like Real Engineering and Extra Credits are also uploading their content one full video ahead.
That's what's up, guys. I support Nebula.
Conflicts.
You guys support Nebula.
Wars that couldn't.
It seems like there's some really good channels over there on Nebula, guys. Unfortunately, they don't sponsor me at the moment, so I'm going to let you know that I think you should go to nebula.com. I think you should create a membership there because I believe you're going to get a free month. If you want to get that code to get some free months or, you know, get a discount on this, I want you guys to go to the channel for TierZoo, which the link will be in the bio once again. I want you to subscribe to his channel once again, and then I want you guys to go and hit his link. Get the code that he has available for you, and then go to Nebula and, you know, start a membership. Because it seems like you get some really good stuff on that channel. It's not a channel; it's a website, and it has a host of bunch of other. It seems like educational type YouTube channels. So that actually seems really cool. It's gonna be more educational than the basic stuff you get on YouTube. Plus, it seems like they're gonna be giving you more things in advance, so you don't have to wait as long as you're on a normal YouTube. So I'm giving you the promo, and we're
which
gonna
uses
go
gorgeous
on with the
3D
video.
animation discount on the annual plans.
He's giving you
which comes
40% off, guys. You're paying as little as $2.50 a month. Honestly, you can't afford not to learn.
down to as little as. Use the link down below to get the.
Use this link. You can't afford not to do this. But guys, that was a great video. TierZoo, I liked it. Now, I will say once again, not an S tier animal, not an A tier, not even B tier. At very best, it is a D tier animal because it does have one S tier quality. Everything else, it was, yeah, that's how I felt about it. It was very, very F tier. So, guys, if you felt like this was an S tier reaction, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you comment down below for any other videos you think I should watch, any other suggestions you have. Movie reactions are going to be on their way soon. And guys, if you made it this far, congratulations. You made it to the part where I'm just rambling. So remember, like, comment, subscribe to me for more if you like the rambling. And if you don't, why are you watching this far in, guy? Relax. Like, You're this far in. Don't blame me. So yeah. With that being said, as always,